September is National Preparedness Month, a time for you and your family to focus on preparing for natural disasters. For this morning Saturdays with the City, we're joined by Robert Graham, the Deputy Director of Emergency Management and Division Chief of the Charlotte Fire Department. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Absolutely. So it's important to get prepared this month. What do you want people to know about getting prepared for a natural disaster?
So we want people to be prepared all the time,
right?
Not just this month, but it is a good time, especially in the South, because we're dealing with hurricane season. And so this year it's been pretty quiet. Hurricane season's been pretty quiet, but we don't want people to forget that it's still going on. And it actually peaks on September 15th. And then after that, it'll start to, the storms get faster and they can form out down the Gulf of Mexico. So we got to watch that. And we're always watching, but now is a good time to prepare, not just for hurricanes, but for all disasters. And disasters come in many shapes and forms, but this is a good time for people to start thinking about it.
So what should people do to prepare?
So number one, we want people to think about preparedness, right? And so we don't want you to rely on the government, because if we're in a disaster situation, all of our resources are stretched very thin.
Right.
And we're going to get to you, but it's going to take time for us to get to you. So we want you to start to think about, okay, what are the things that I need, whether it's bottled water or non-perishable food or things like flashlights and other things. And we want you to stay weather aware. We want you to have at least 3 different forms of information that you're getting in, whether that's social media, radio, television. And you can do a couple things for us. One, you can sign up for Charlotte Alerts, which we've had it for a number of years. Probably 20 years, going on 20 years now, but it is our opt-in portion of our messaging for Charlotte-Mecklenburg Emergency Management. So
are those alerts that will come to your phone in the event of a disaster, or where will people be alerted?
Yeah, they'll come to your phone, and then also, so there's 2 different kinds of alerts.
Okay.
There's ones that we would call opt-in, which is what we're asking you to sign up for, but then we also have the ability to send what they call wireless emergency alert, and that's when everybody's phone goes off at one time. It doesn't matter if you opt in or not, but we only do that in extreme emergencies, when we're really worried about life and property. That's when we're going to send that out.
And like you said, important to get prepared before a storm hits. I know we're approaching the year anniversary of Hurricane Helene. So what do you want people to know in terms of just making sure that they are taking those steps? I know you mentioned maybe creating kind of an emergency kit.
Yes, yeah. So and Helene's a good example. In Charlotte, we had Hurricane Hugo in 1989, and at the time, Charlotte was probably about 430,000. Today, we're pushing 1 million. But I'm from Hendersonville, North Carolina, which is up in the mountains, and so my family rode out the storm. We did not have power for 14 days, and so I can tell you that there were a lot of things that were purchased during the storm, and there were a lot of Amazon purchases that were made during the storm that we didn't get for months until later on. But you really need to think through, what are the things that are important to you, whether it's medication or food or light or heat or all those things that are going to be important to you if you don't have power. Can you imagine how it would be in Charlotte if we went without power for 14 days? And so that's what we need you to think about. And
so how can people contact you in the event of an emergency if, let's say, that you have lost power?
So in the event of losing power, we want you to contact Duke Energy. If you have non-emergency items that are important, we want you to call 311. If it's an emergency, we want you to call 911. And that gets the entire government, right? So when we have a major emergency or possible major emergency here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg, we open the Emergency Operations Center. And you and I were just discussing the Emergency Operations Center was open for 18 months during COVID.
That's right.
And so we have the capability of standing that facility up and being open for a long period of time. What that EOC does is it cuts down all the bureaucracy of government, and it brings key decision makers into one room where we have good situational awareness, and we are discussing how to fix problems here in Charlotte-Mecklenburg County.
All right. Well, Chief Graham, a lot of good information there. Thank you for joining us. And we'll have more information on our website as well, WBTV.com, so people can make sure they sign up for those alerts. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We'll be right back.